Hello everyone, my name is Julia Tucker, and for my case study, I have decided to do the Madison, Jones, and Coughlin case study for my Leadership and Teamwork course. A little bit of background information on this case. This case deals with a woman known as Lauren Kravitz, who joins Madison, Jones, and Coughlin, which is a medium-sized firm that did accounting and consulting projects for certain corporate clients. She actually joined this firm after graduating from a very prestigious business school. She was also promoted to the team manager position, and she had a lot of responsibilities, but she felt very confident about her qualifications. So overall, when she joined the company, she was very well educated. She knew what she was doing. Corporate clients were pleased with her work. The other team managers seemed to respect her at the time, and like I said, the clients were happy with all the projects that she was able to manage. So with this record of success, Laura was hoping to eventually become possibly a partner in this company, as she had done a lot of great things for the company and brought a lot of positive reviews and had positive feedback. So the case kind of dives into the problems that she dealing with the senior male managers. This firm was predominantly run by male managers, and they were very conservative. They were unresponsive to some of her suggestions that she had. She didn't get some of the same kind of benefits that other male employees did, like a mentor. They just really didn't respect her. They didn't invite her places. She didn't feel like an equal to her coworkers. And she already had some obstacles to overcome as she wanted to move forward with the company, but this was an obstacle that was honestly completely out of her hands, as they were gender discriminating against her as a woman working in this firm with all these men. So it kind of goes into detail about how these male managers kind of discriminated against her, and there are a lot. So eventually she'll resign from the firm and open her own business, which ends up being super successful. So good for her for overcoming the obstacles dealing with gender discrimination. So going off of the overview of the case, kind of the key issues that you get from the case in itself is gender discrimination. Obviously, because all the males in the company just really didn't care to hear what she had to say. They weren't willing to give her cases, unresponsive to suggestions she had. It was very obvious that this was gender discrimination. Unequal opportunity as well. She wasn't given the same opportunities as certain male workers that had started even after she started her job. So people were promoted before her, even though she was just as qualified and she was doing just as well as her male coworkers. And then another key issue is that this is a very unethical way of business. I mean, this isn't a way of running business. This isn't an ethical way. It should all be equal, and women and men should have the same kind of opportunities. So this is definitely not a good look for this company. Moving along to the case questions. So what forms of gender discrimination did Laura face? Well, there are quite a lot of ways that she faced gender discrimination while working in this company. So first of all, her proposals were always ignored by her coworkers. She experienced a lot of different behaviors where managers would just kind of like push her to the side, not really listen to her proposal she had. They were very inattentive when she spoke, and they seemed unreceptive to any kind of suggestions that she had. She was also never assigned a mentor like her other coworkers were. So with not being able to have a mentor, she also wouldn't be able to advance in her career, which is an unequal opportunity for her. She didn't feel invited or accepted to the networking of relationships that provided the opportunities to interact with some of the senior managers. Like I said, she wasn't invited to any of the events where all the male managers were at, and they just really didn't want her there because they were discriminating against her for being a woman. Another thing that I had mentioned before was that the male coworkers were promoted ahead of her, even after they started working after her. There were other things as well, like she was never assigned a high project because those were also only given to the male managers. And when she was asking for more challenging projects, she was told that the older clients usually preferred to be with the male managers. So there were a lot of things, and it was clearly obvious that they were discriminating against her. Like I said, she was never invited to the social activities hosted by the senior managers, not assigned projects, she was ignored, never got the mentor, very inattentive to when she spoke, and proposals ignored. Someone else would take credit for them. It was just all around a bad environment for her to be in a super unethical way, like I said, in running a business. So the second question was, what could Laura have done to overcome the obstacles she encountered? Well, first and foremost, I want to make it clear that she should never have had to figure out ways to overcome these obstacles, as this really isn't something that should be looked upon as normal when working for a business. This is completely not normal, and I just want to put that out there that yes, there are things she could have done, but again, like, this should have never happened. But anyways, what could she have done to overcome the obstacles? She could have gone to human resources to kind of expose the situations about her feelings and suggest them to implement more of an ethical culture in the workplace. She could have also made the point that gender discrimination is kind of like not existent in today's world and society. So kind of just informing them that, hey, like, this really hasn't been acceptable for years. Like, why is this still happening in this company? So yeah, definitely inform HR so they could help her take care of this problem. Even though she did go to the president of the company, she could have insisted a little more, maybe set up a little more meetings with him, but since obviously that did not work, definitely go to human resources. Another thing she could have possibly done, she could have called a meeting for her department, kind of gather all the employees together and kind of just tell them how she felt, kind of get some feedback from them to see what their thoughts were on how she was describing the situation. Maybe have someone in there with her just to kind of back her up when she needed to in this meeting, but definitely call a meeting with all these senior managers and kind of get to the root of the problem if she really was wanting to stay with this company for a long time. So yeah, there's a few things she could have done, but overall I think she handled the situation quite well for the circumstances. So like I said, she could have called a meeting with people, spoke openly about it, made a point about the discrimination issues, how it's an ethical issue, and say that she wasn't interested in working in this kind of environment anymore. Even if she did end up leaving, it could have definitely opened their eyes to seeing how they were mistreating her, which could have, in the long run, helped maybe someone else, another woman that decided to join the company. She already was showing that she was pretty confident in her work, task-oriented, competitive, decisive, and had her assertive behaviors. So she obviously had all the fundamentals of being a good coworker and good at her job. So these things definitely could have helped her, and maybe she could have reminded them about everything she's done for the company. But yeah, the two main ones that I definitely think she should have done were human resources and called a meeting. It made the situation aware to everyone as a whole. Okay. All right, moving to the third question. What could the president have done to create equal opportunity in this company? So I have listed 3 things on here. He could have called a meeting with the managers, made sure to follow up on her case, and he also should have showed supportive leadership. When she went into this meeting with him, he kind of was like, oh, we'll figure this out, we'll get to the bottom of this, and no change was ever really implemented, and that's why she ended up leaving. So there's definitely things that the president should have done to create equal opportunity in this company. So he definitely should have called a meeting with all the managers to explain the current situation with her, and about her, and how the company isn't going to stand for gender discrimination, and that they're going to work towards fostering an ethical working culture. He also should have made sure to follow up on her case, see how she was doing, see if things were getting better, just making sure that he was really in her ear about it to get to the bottom of this situation. And that leads into he should have showed support for her, and should have been a supportive leader by making her feel accepted in the company, valued, and then he should have mentored her and got her a mentor, and he should have definitely talked to her direct boss and allowed her to get more of the challenging projects that she really wanted. He also should have made sure that managers included her in inviting her to the social activities, and honestly, he should have just taken it upon himself to invite her to social activities, and all around could have just done a better job. He obviously knew her situation and knew that she was being discriminated against, and he honestly showed her that he didn't care enough. So I definitely think that having a meeting with all the managers, getting to the bottom of the problem, making sure that he's developing a good culture all around that accepts everyone would be beneficial for the company in the long run, because no other women are going to want to work in a company like this. And even some men that might hear about this situation going on in this company and how unethical it is, they may not want to work for a company like that. Some of the customers may not support the company anymore if they hear about this. So overall, the president should have done a better job in getting to the bottom of this problem, because this is a massive problem and is something that should never happen in the workplace. So yes, he definitely should have taken these approaches and figured this out immediately, because this could be costly for his business in the long run. So in conclusion, I do feel like there are a few things Laura could have done to confront her issues. Like I said, she could have gone to HR. She could have continued to be in the president's ear about the situation. She could have called a meeting with the senior managers and kind of told them how she felt about the situation. It's also important to note that gender discrimination is completely unacceptable anywhere, anytime, especially in the work environment. It just causes unequal opportunities. It's completely unacceptable, and in this case, the president should have definitely been supportive and demanded change. Like I said again, Laura shouldn't have had to deal with these problems. These are problems that no one should have to deal with in the work environment. And I definitely think she made the correct decision to leave the company and go kind of start her own and be successful there and get to work for herself and work with people who make her feel accepted. And overall, I think she probably learned a lot of lessons, and I hope that that business also learned some lessons, but she definitely knows the kind of work environment she wants to partake in, and super good for her that she was overall successful in the end. So yeah, it's kind of my thoughts on the case, kind of the answers I have to the questions. I thoroughly enjoyed reading through the case and kind of getting some thoughts on it and answering the questions and just going over it. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.